Hey everybody and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
Hi, I'm Tressa.
I feel like I should have like a catchphrase or something better than
I
like,
know.
hey everybody.
You
I'm gonna
said that
work on
last
that.
week. Yeah, you need to
I
work
said
on
that.
that.
Oh man, did I say that last
You
week?
did.
Listen, I've had a cold for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little spacey.
That's
That's
fine.
my excuse this week.
Fair.
Listen, I know that we're going to probably try to get there a little bit later this summer, but Pennsylvania is actually a very interesting place and has a lot of paranormal events that happen in and around. It's got
Is
a
that
lot of
true?
strangeness. It is true. It
Wow.
is true. There are hauntings, UFOs, hexes. Hexes happen in Pennsylvania, apparently. Unexplained phenomena, uh, cryptid activity, all kinds of stuff. And we know, well, some of us may know a little bit about Pennsylvania due to the Shepton mine incident. And we may hit on that, we may not. But there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. And our guest tonight is going to tell us about it because he has written a lot about it.
Oh, let's
Our guest
like
tonight is
what?
let me tell you, our guest tonight is Maxim Furek, and he is an avid student of the paranormal. His eclectic background includes aspects of psychology, addiction, and rock journalism. It's really interesting. He has a master's degree in communications from Bloomsburg University and a bachelor's degree in psychology from Aquinas College. He has written numerous rock biographies and paranormal themed books, such as Flying Saucer Esoteric, The Altered States of UFOlogy, which is his most recent, and the Coal Region Hoodoo Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. He is a respected contributor to Fate magazine, Normal Paranormal, and Paranormal Underground. Please help me welcome Max.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Great intro.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for the invite. I'm looking forward to this, and this kind of happened fast, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thank you for joining
Absolutely.
us.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so I absolutely really, I haven't finished it all, but I really like your writing style in your book, Coal Region Hoodoo, right?
Yeah.
I like the way that it's laid out. I like your writing style. So, I mean, compliments on that. Not that I'm anybody to be like, hey, your writing style, whatever. I'm going to
You
move on
read,
now.
it's fine.
It's
Everyone
a
knows
really
you
good book.
like
I like
books.
it. Yeah, I like it. I like the way that the words are put together in that one. And
The way you put one next to the other,
it's so great. And
aces.
then they form like lines.
Yes, so
Yeah,
good.
I know. It's really cool. There's little symbols in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, so there were some things in there that I had never heard of before, which is not surprising, but I'm always really excited when that happens. So the first thing that struck out to me was there's like a huge history based from like the Pennsylvania Dutch on sort of witchcraft and hexes and all of those things. And there was a little spot in your book talking about Dr. Frederick
Santee.
Santee.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I was blown. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I was blown away by this story.
Yeah, listen, I'm blown away by it too, but Dr. Frederick Santee was a white witch. He was a member of the Coven of the Kata, and it was initiated by Sybil Leek, the world's most famous witch, and she came over to a place called Walpollepin. Walpollepin's only 5 miles down the road from me, so I knew Dr. Santee. He was my doctor. I was a patient of his for a short time, but I interviewed him, and it may be one of the few or one of the only recordings of him and Jeni, his high priestess. But I have that. But this story is kind of crazy because on June 1st of this year, 2024, I was invited to the Esoteric Conference in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania. And I did a presentation on Dr. Santee, which was great. We had a whole bunch of people there. The Esoteric Conference. There was a woman there from Ocular Alchemy. It's a TV program from New York City. And they're coming down and they're shooting a special program on Dr. Santee on Friday, August the 9th. The New York City team, the crew are coming down to Walpollepin. So I'm setting up the locations and the people. But this just this is just like a wonderful opportunity for me as a fledgling paranormal author, whatever I am. So anyway, this just happened. But this was, not luck, chance, coincidence. be. And Samantha Collins came up to me and gave me her card and said, I'd like to do a shoot. We started to talk about it. And at first, I couldn't believe it. This is just like unbelievable. Because when does a door like that open for any of us?
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
The name of the program is called Oculus Alchemy. I believe it's on YouTube. You could Google it.
Okay.
The producer is Samantha Collins, and we're going to be doing a thing about Dr. Santee. They're going to doing the shoot here. So anyway,
Awesome.
Dr. Santee was the high priest for the coven. He was one of the youngest persons. He might have been the youngest person to graduate from Harvard. He was a genius. He was able to go and translate from the German to the English and back as a young person. He went over to Europe. He was invited to Bertram Russell's experimental school, and Bertram Russell was a mathematician. I mean, you could Google him. He's like one of the legendary people of the 20th century. He wanted Santee to teach there at his experimental school, but Santee had a problem with the way that Bertram Russell was structuring the school, so he said no. But Santee was a doctor, a medical physician, as was his father, as was his grandfather. His grandfather was a member, had set up the Underground Railroad, where slaves would come up the Susquehanna River and go into this carriage house and then go under the road to Dr. Santee's estate. So I was just there a couple of weeks ago. They were showing me where the runaway slaves would stay. But Santee was an amazing individual. He told me that with the Wicca craft, you could either use the right pathway or the left pathway. And if you use the right pathway, it's for helping and healing. If you use the left pathway, it's to put spells and poxes on people. But he talked about the universal law of karma, that what you put out comes back on you. So if you do good, you're going to get that. And if you do bad, well, you know the rest of that story. So amazing. When I wrote the book Co-Region Hoodoo, I wanted to go and take aspects of the spiritual and the paranormal and try to slot them into the scientific. And even Dr. Santee told me that he doesn't see much difference between the supernatural and the scientific. It's just
Amen.
Right.
Listen, I've been saying this for the past week. This has been on my brain. Everything you guys consider magic is just science that hasn't been proven yet. Because all the science we have right now was magic at some point.
It's weird that you keep putting it on shirts and writing it everywhere you go.
Everyone needs to know.
Okay, but maybe not with graffiti.
No, you're not the boss of me.
Dr. Santee was doing stuff, and I read this in your book. Like he was bringing in a lot of like acupuncture before his time, and healing with
powwow. There's a thing from Lancaster, Pennsylvania called powwow, and I believe it came from the Pennsylvania Dutch. Lancaster has a lot of weird stuff with the hex signs and putting spells on the cows and on these pregnant women and everything. It's just like pretty bizarre. But powwow was something that you can use to heal, and they used it for warts and all kinds of other things. It may be a type of psychosomatic thing, but he was really a good practitioner with powwow, with the acupuncture. In the early days when nobody knew anything about it, homeopathic medicines that he would make. The salves and everything. A genius, just an amazing person who would be there in his bib overalls and his suspenders and flannel shirt, like an old country doctor, which just
That's how you know you can trust a person.
Exactly.
Bib overalls and flannels.
I am a long proponent of the suspenders and bib overalls.
There was no pretense. He didn't put on airs. The other thing, too, is like when I got out my cassette, I think it was last year, and I played it for a friend of mine who was actually reenacting Dr. Santee for this local presentation. And as I played the cassette, he had two voices. So Dr. Santee would talk either through a clenched teeth, which was like forced pressured speech or regular articulation like now. So I don't know why he did that, but that was sort of interesting. But he was very forthcoming. He was very transparent. He wrote in his book, "Thank you, Max, for a deep and penetrating interview," and and as accommodating as he was, the high priest Jane and women held the higher ranks in the coven. So
yeah, because he actually had a coven. He bring people in, and people just kind of came to him in this area, like just wanting to study from him or whatever. Like he just.
I don't know. I mean, much of it was secretive. With all the rituals and everything. I mean, much of it was. But here's the thing: everybody in the area knew about Dr. Santee and his coven because he had a column that he wrote for the local paper called The Country Doctor, and Jeni had a column that she wrote under the pen name of Prudence, and it was The Witch's Kettle. So they talked about all this stuff. I mean, everybody knew about it. And
they weren't hiding it. They were just here it is.
And they didn't view him as somebody satanic or evil, but maybe as somebody who was sort of like not egocentric, but just charismatic and maybe a little bit on the bizarre side, So, but he was kind and altruistic. They didn't charge a whole lot when people came there, when his patients came to see him, and if they were impoverished or destitute, they would treat them for free. So Dr. Santee, I think, had a kind heart, was a beautiful person. He treated me really good. And, that was my experience with him. And definitely when Coleridge and Hoodoo came out and I started to do book signings in northeastern Pennsylvania, more than any other theme, people would talk about Dr. Santee because they knew of him, they heard of him, they went there, whatever. So. And
now his house is reportedly haunted?
They have some ghost hunters in the area that claim that they saw things. And, I don't know how, what the bottom line is with that. I'm not really sure. I'm not involved in the ghost hunting community with their spirit boxes and, the things that they do, which is fine. But the program, the Oculus Alchemy program, is going to be aired. And she was thinking, Samantha was thinking about doing it in November. So
cool. Okay.
So that'll be we're the first show, of the new season. So go figure that, So yeah,
that's awesome. So everybody can.
It is awesome, yeah. So
yeah.
So this is something new for me, but it's so much fun, and we're going to do the shoot, and I think they have drones and. The other stuff. So it's going to be
fun.
Yeah.
So everybody be on the lookout for that, because that was something about Pennsylvania that I for sure didn't know about, and I'm sure lots of people didn't. But now this I did know about, but I don't know the whole story. This is the location of the town that is like perpetually on fire.
Yeah, Central.
Oh. Yeah, that's the same place?
It's a ghost town. It's a little bit different, but it's in Pennsylvania, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's close. I was born in Berwick, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of Richard Sharp Shaver. Remember the Shaver mystery?
Oh, yeah.
Zeros. Oh, yeah, check that out. That's pretty cool. Well, anyway, that's another story in itself. But in Berwick is real close to Walpollepin, where Dr. Santee was from, and then right down the road is Centralia, and Centralia is a ghost town. There's maybe 5 people living there, and what happened was in the 1960s, five when there used to be.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and those 5 people are like, we're not moving.
Exactly.
I know, it's on fire.
We love it here.
We're fine with it. We're okay.
Yeah, they're going to huff the smoke and all that. But
make a lot of
around 1962-63, they were going to have a party, some kind of festival. So they decided to throw the trash in this mine pit, and it was burning. So it started to burn, and they couldn't put it out. And they did everything they could, and they couldn't put it out. So it's been burning ever since. But in the meantime, the roads buckled.
Yeah,
and they had all kinds of steam and toxic gases coming up. The states.
How much trash and what trash were they throwing in there? That's insane. Like, I know about this thing, but what were they throwing in there that is burning forever?
Yeah, it, like paper plates or anything.
And nothing worked. I mean, they had this goo of like concrete and clay and all kinds of stuff that they mixed and sent down there and water, and they couldn't put it out. I mean, these are Commonwealth of Pennsylvania engineers,
right.
our brightest couldn't do it. So it's still burning, but the one road started to buckle, and what happened was they had another road there. So the road that had buckled became known as Graffiti Highway. So all these colleges, this was like a mecca. Centralia was one of the top tourist destinations in the state, mainly from college kids, and they would go and tag, penises and all peace signs and all kinds of crap on
as you do.
Yes, as we do. Yes, as we do in Pennsylvania. And so anyway, eventually, I think a couple years ago, they decided that enough was enough. And they just put tons and tons of dirt on top of Graffiti Highway, which was really too bad because they were too stupid to exploit this and get some Jeeps in there and and
put a fest there. Make it something every summer, as people do.
And and I did write a letter to the guy, the politician that was in charge of the director of tourism, and with anything you have to talk to somebody who gets it. You have to talk to the right person, so anyway, he wasn't, but that's it. The was it Silent Hill, I believe, was based on Centralia, and it's really eerie. I mean, you go there and there's nothing there. It's just dead. And what happened was, I mean, the reality, there was a Irish Catholic priest who was speaking out against the Molly Maguires. And the Molly Maguires were sort of like, not terrorists, but they were sort of like, they were tried.
Gangsters?
Pardon?
Gangsters?
No, not even gangsters. I think they were like good guys because they were coming after the coal mine operators who were exploiting all these Irish guys, that were going down into the pit. So anyway, this priest was speaking out against the Molly Maguires, and this one night they came and they beat him up, and the priest put a curse on Centralia. He said, at the end of the day, the only thing left standing will be St. Ignatius Church. And even today, that's burnt down, and there's a cemetery there, and there's a road going through that, but little else. And again, like maybe, I believe it's 5 people live there now. They refuse to go. They're allowed to stay there until they die. So
that priest isn't even good at doing curses. Like, you burn down your own thing. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, he wasn't. Yes.
Yeah.
So he didn't get it right. But that's Centralia. So the thing about northeastern Pennsylvania, the coal region hoodoo, most paranormal books about Pennsylvania, they write about Gettysburg, where you have all these ghosts, all these lost souls that are being tormented there, or Lancaster with the witches and the hexes and just the craziness that's happening there. But very few people talk about the core region of northeastern Pennsylvania. And now people are starting to talk about Chestnut Ridge, which is where you guys are going to go, and that's in the western part of Pennsylvania. That is I think a 4 or 5 county area, which is just filled with not only Bigfoot sightings, but Bigfoot and UFO sightings together, which when I first heard about that concept, I said, that's nuts. That's bizarre. I'm not buying into it. Well, it's happening. And the only thing that shows is that there's something paranormal about this when you see both entities at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to get into some UFO stuff right after this break.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or your family ever seen a spook, spectre, or ghost? Then Haunted Magazine issue 41 might just be for you. In issue 41 we have the Enfield Haunting, an interview with Dave Schrader, Danny Robbins, and lots more. Out now in stores, app stores, and online at bit.ly/Haunted Magazine. Remember, don't be normal, be paranormal.
Now listen, we all know that I love me some Bigfoot.
Oh, is that true?
And it's true. It's accurate.
Huh.
It's very accurate. And, we've had a couple of people on the show.
Is that
one or
also
two,
true?
that have talked about Bigfoot, and I'm very excited about it. And I didn't know that Pennsylvania was such a Bigfoot area until we talked to Eric.
Eric, yeah.
Yeah, Eric Altman, and that was a phenomenal conversation, and he's a really cool guy, and check him out, and we'll be seeing him hopefully later on in the summer. But also the UFO stuff, because I'm very behind on UFO information at all. Only since I've met Tressa have I really taken more of an interest in the actual specifics of it.
Listen, you blend UFOs and Bigfoot together, you got both of our attention.
But one of the really cool incidents that I was reading about was in your book was the
Kecksburg.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to. I don't say things well, especially after I read them a number of times, because I've already decided how they're pronounced in my head.
Yeah.
Yes. Please tell me a little bit about that incident.
Yeah, well, I was talking about the Chestnut Ridge area in western Pennsylvania. It's a 100-mile stretch that's, southeast of Pittsburgh that goes down to West Virginia. So it's all remote. There's all kinds of hills and mountains there. And there's 4 counties, but in 1965, something crashed outside of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. And the people came out, they saw it. They saw it over Canada and all these different states. At first they thought it was a comet, but it looked like it was being manipulated. It looks like that somebody was controlling it, so it didn't act like an arc that you would expect from a meteor.
It didn't just coast. It had movement.
It had controlled movement.
Yeah.
So people, the gawkers came to look, but then also the military came. So the military came, and they had a type of martial law. I mean, they didn't call it that, but they told everybody to get out and shut up. You didn't see anything. And they carted this thing that was, I believe was as big as a Volkswagen, on top of this military caisson with a tarp over it. And there were 2 trucks that left and allegedly ended up in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where the alleged Roswell, humanoids are. So they call Kecksburg the Pennsylvania Roswell, and there's some similarities. People like Stan Gordon, a bunch of people use the Freedom of Information Act to try to get information about Kecksburg, and what they got was either missing pages, lost pages, or what they got was redacted, i.e. it was just all scrubbed out. So they weren't given anything that was beneficial to figure out what this was. So there was government something, call it denial or cover up, whatever. But the agencies just weren't playing ball with us. There's been conjecture that it might have been one of our satellites, that it might have been a Soviet satellite, that it might have been
a weather balloon.
Not a weather balloon. No, not this one.
Isn't that the
swamp
list?
gas?
We're not going for the weather balloons. not in Pennsylvania. Yeah, but and the other one was the Glock, and there was this Nazi, folklore that some time machine Glock ended up, with time travel into Kecksburg, and that's actually what it was. So,
what year was this again?
1965 December.
Okay.
And it was a good year. So, but
it's a good year for time machines.
Or not.
This is supposed to be serious stuff. Come on.
Yeah, Jeni.
You're ruining my shit.
Oh man.
So, Chestnut Ridge had, and Eric Altman probably told you this, but after Washington State and California, Pennsylvania is supposed to be the alleged 3rd state with the most Bigfoot sightings. The majority of them in the western Pennsylvania or Chestnut Ridge. Stan Gordon, who has written books and did several documentaries about Kecksburg and UFOs. He was the one that put together the connection between Bigfoot and UFOs. And what he's done is, this is, his. I like Stan. His writing is academic. It's not poetic. It's not flowing in that, but he has data, and he'll tell you about people that have seen Bigfoot and UFOs, when they saw it, how the Bigfoot and UFOs acted, and how they responded. So he's been able to catalog all this. And I'll give you an example of this. Because he's good at what he does. Last year, my neighbor, Joseph Lipinski, told me, we went to dinner, and he told me that he saw not one but two Bigfoot creatures. And I said, yeah. And I said, well, where? So we live in a little place called Mackinac, Pennsylvania. And he said he saw them in the cemetery, and one was cinnamon colored, one was black, and they looked at him like they were curious, and then they started to slowly walk away like human-like, and not like they were afraid. But he said they were Bigfoot. They weren't bear or anything else. And he had some really good detail. So Joe's account is in my upcoming book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, to be published by Hanger One. But what I did was I called Eric Altman and Stan Gordon and Tim Renner, and I said, listen, a friend of mine had a Bigfoot sighting, so I put these guys in touch with Joe Lipinski so he could go and give them his narrative while it was still fresh. So anyway, that's I didn't see it. I'd love to see when I went there and I looked for tracks. I went back there. There was a trail that I think utility workers may be used. It's in the back there. So there's a pathway that you could traverse, but there's a lot of wilderness there. It's mountainous. Pennsylvania. I'm surrounded by woods.
I've driven through Pennsylvania multiple times, and that's like driving through. That's where the people are supposed to be, and it's nothing but mountains and forests. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is.
Very long. It's a very long drive, but I can see how a lost species, civilization, whatever, would be there and undiscovered forever. It's so dense.
Yeah. And that's the question. Everybody wants to know. That is the question. We talk about nuts and bolts proof of UFOs, and we talk about flesh and blood proof for Bigfoot. And where is the proof? And since we're not finding any, and we've been looking for it for centuries, then you have to investigate and explore other theories. Like, for example, Einstein's wormhole theory, and Einstein saying that if you could go and collapse a time-space continuum, and there are wormholes or bridges that can bridge the gap, so that space brothers, instead of flying for trillions of light years to get from A to B, they could just get there in a split second. So given that, that bridge theory, that wormhole theory, is it possible that there's other dimensions that maybe UFOs and Bigfoot are traversing, and shape-shifting from their domain into ours and back? Again, they talk about the bilocation. You see, some people have seen Bigfoot in front of them, then all of a sudden they shape-shift and they're behind you. So they talk about that. So again, there's things that we don't know, but I believe at this point, Einstein's theory from the 1930s is the best that we have, and and I believe in that. But it's been signed on by people like John Keel and Jacques Vallée and a lot of other academics. Not all, but a lot of academics believe that Bigfoot is not extraterrestrial but interdimensional. Bigfoot doesn't come from another planet. But he comes from another dimension. So, let's drink to that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love that theory. I love anything interdimensionally. Like, so much could be happening and we would be completely oblivious until it shows up into our face and we're like, oh, well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's theories about vibration and dimensions that just maybe on another vibration, there's the three of us, in another parallel universe, another parallel dimension. I mean, not here and now, but someplace else. So,
Mm-hmm.
Astrophysicists have talked about the possibility of these parallel worlds and dimensions and that. And it's just, I mean, I wish that was my background. Because it's
Well,
like,
yeah, and a lot of people that we talk to do say that, once we start to explore a little bit more in the realm of quantum physics, we're going to understand these things a little bit more, but the science isn't there yet.
yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm a big proponent, that it doesn't always have to be one thing, right? Because there's
Right.
plenty out there that could account for relic species. Absolutely. There's
No.
oh yeah.
You can't.
And it doesn't always have to be just one thing, right?
Yeah, and you can't deny. I mean, there's a couple of things that thousands of people have seen these cryptids,
Mm-hmm.
and also we have a whole, just mountains of the footprints. The plaster
Right.
those footprints. So there's something there, and these are scientists that have gone out there and found these, and just amazing. I mean, they are 3 times bigger than a human foot. So something's happening there. It's just that we haven't been able to put the eyewitnesses and the footprints together with a body, and
Right. Right. Before we go too far into the Bigfoot, because we would do that all the time, and then it would just be a Bigfoot show and just me going, I love Bigfoot. It's pretty much in Megalodon.
Pretty much.
Whatever. It's fine. Let's talk some more UFO stuff. So what other stories do we have? Because I mean, your very most recent book, the second book you wrote in a year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. A little overachieving on that one.
And I wasn't doing meth or cocaine at the time.
Oh, congratulations!
Congratulations!
By caffeine
and
Gatorade. Yeah, and Gatorade. I Beyond the Fray published Co-Region Hoodoo, and that I had been working on that for years, and we finally got it published in 2023. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to go and I challenged myself. I wanted to write a book in 100 days. So I thought if I could write, and again, I was obsessed. I was a bit of a madman, but if I could write morning, noon, and night, I could complete this. And after 100 days, I would stop. Before I went psychotic, I would just go and stop. And that would be my fail-safe thing. So
that would be your tipping point. Like, how close am I?
So I did it in 97 days, and I feel this feeling of elation because it was just a personal accomplishment. I mean, it was totally ego driven. I mean, there's nothing good about it. I mean, don't try this at home. It's I don't advise that.
I really like the transparency on that one. Like, listen, I did this because I wanted to feel good about myself and prove to me that I was good.
No, I just wanted to see if I could do it. Could I do it in 100 days? So, but anyway, the narrative is sort of similar to Bigfoot, with UFOs. But we've seen in my book, I talk about heretics and astronomers and religious people that have seen these things in the sky, and I talk about the days before Christ. I talk about some things in Scripture, like Ezekiel's wheel, that everybody, like Eric von Daniken, takes these things from the Bible and translates them literally. That this represented space brothers, coming here. And then I just take a look at Roswell. And what's interesting about my book, if you pick it up and look at 1947, look at Roswell, and look at Kenneth Arnold in 47 and the 9 flying discs that he saw, and then look, and those are the red letter dates that we all talk about. But look at what was happening before and look at what happened after. I mean, UFOs have always been with us. We've always seen them. And the thing that we started to see is we went through, the people, the witnesses that saw them, the contactees. Then we had people that were abducted, Betty and Barney Hill in New Hampshire claimed that they were abducted and probed and used, all the regressive hypnosis. So that became another part of this. And it just started to evolve. And in 2023, in July of 2023, David Grush who was a Pennsylvania boy, by the way, from, I think, Western Pennsylvania, of all places.
All comes full circle.
Yeah, it really does, yeah. He was former military intelligence, and he claimed he knows where the bodies are and he knows where the crashed saucers are. He claimed he knows this because he talked to 40 people. Now, when you have a good, and consider talk about transparency, when you have a high-paying government job with good money, good benefits, and everything, you don't want to screw up. You don't want to blow that and go public about what you've seen. So when Grush talked to these people, they were taking a chance. I mean, they were taking a chance in destroying their livelihood. But 40 people he talked to. He said he never saw the saucers, but he talked about these people, government officials that were retro-engineering these crashed saucers. Some of the guys were actually hurt on site when they were doing this. He claimed that he would, again, this is with the Congressional Committee. And when I was doing my research, I spend winters in Florida, I contacted Senator Marco Rubio, who was on one of the committees, and Marco sent me a letter, and I'm crafting another letter. But I was saying this, if Grush is going to go and, talk about all this stuff, make him show his cards. I mean, what do you know? He's saying that he has confidential information that he will give to the right people under the right circumstances. So I'm saying, since the government took it this far, let's finish the job and get Grush behind closed doors and have him testify as to what he knows and be done with it.
I mean, behind closed doors, I bet they have already. They're not going to tell us anything. They're going to keep pulling us along, be like, hey, we got this new information. Yeah. But it's probably not real, you guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, you guys. It's fine.
Yeah, they keep on changing things. It used to
they really do.
It used to be UFOs, then it was UAPs. It was unidentified aerial phenomenon.
We are not Team UAP here. It's UFO all the way every time.
And then when they had the one flap over San Diego where this thing actually hovered, and you saw that little tic tac thing, and it went faster than with a more tremendous G-force than any human being could withstand, and then it went underwater. So they decided that it wouldn't be unidentified aerial phenomenon, but it would be unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So we had all the name changes. We had this seemingly transparent government who wanted to come to conclusions. It's all talk.
It's all what they want us to think. It's never going to be full disclosure. But we'll talk about full disclosure right after this message.
Hey, Tressa.
Hey, Jeni.
Oh, I'm just reading my own book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader.
I'm reading the book too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah.
Say, I like your shirt.
Thank you. I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt too.
Oh, this? That's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com too. They have really great stuff. A whole variety.
I know, right? They have everything. Shirts, tote bags, clutches, a phone case. I think it's the best.
monstersloungepodcast.com.
Continue on with whatever is happening here that I'm super lost in.
This has been a fun show so far.
I'm just saying, the government, they're going to keep stringing us along, telling us a little bit of information, redacting that, and be like, that guy was nuts. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There's no aliens. That's crazy. And then they'll be like, oh, wait, but also we have this other footage that's pretty cool. But wait, that's fake too, you guys. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Because we can't handle it as a people. I don't think that the mass majority of people, a lot of us can handle it, but the majority I don't think can.
Listen, but don't you think there's going to be a tipping point at which there's no longer any hiding it? And like, I mean, it's not like aliens are going to be like in the background, like, no, we're just going to wait until these people get smarter. Like,
I mean, they shut down nuclear sites. Like, they do so much, and we're still like, meh.
Don't you think at some point they're just going to be like, all right, we're tired of waiting for this. Like, we're just going to show up next to them on the bus.
Yeah, and they do. And I'm sure they're everywhere, and we have no idea. It's fine. Just be oblivious. It's fine.
Mm.
All right, listen. All I know is that I want to hear some more UFO stories.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So then, right after David Grush testified in was it July of 2023, right after that, Jaime Maussan, he was a ufologist researcher from Mexico. He approached the Mexican Congress in Mexico City, and he carted out, I think it was 2 of these aliens that he claimed he found in Peru.
Listen,
Pardon me. Carted out? Like
Yeah,
just wheel them out?
Yeah, they were on carts, and they were like in glass bubbles. So they were these alien things. I think they had 3 fingers, and they had large heads and big eyes and all this stuff. They looked like aliens. And Jaime Maussan is infamous for all these hoaxes that he's perpetrated over the years, making money with these things, photographs and everything. But what happened was, and this is pretty telling, the Mexican community of scientists, really railed against him and said this is wrong and it's a hoax and we're not standing for it. So they really took a stand on, this guy that was, promoting pseudoscience rather than science. And it just gives it gives the whole field a bad name. What it
does. And Mason, I'm sorry, real quick. The thing that gives it the worst name is the person presenting it. Because if you go back and you go to see what else was discovered in that dig or whatever, there is multiple things. More bodies, more like artifacts that all, I don't know, proves the wrong word, but all like back up what he was saying. He shouldn't have been the one presenting it because he has been a huckster for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so it's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying there may be something there that is valid.
Yeah, because so much has come out of that dig that no one knows about because they just know about that guy presenting that to the Mexican government.
Yeah. It reminds me of some of the Bigfoot hoaxes, like the Minnesota Iceman and the Piltdown Man. And with the Piltdown Man, that became a political thing. They what was it? I think Heidelberg Man was discovered in Germany, and it was one of the earliest human beings, Homo sapiens. And so the British wanted to have their own. So they found this thing, and it was a hoax. It was like a orangutan jaw and a human skull, and they put it together. They bleached it. They made it look old, but it became a matter of nationalistic pride to be the first. And so a lot of people look the other way. And, again, the scientific community lost credibility in chasing after this thing that I think a lot of people realized was a hoax, the Piltdown Man. And, people were looking for the missing link connecting apes with man. And here's the truth to that. There is no missing link. Apes and man had a common ancestor. At one point, apes evolved and progressed successfully, went up the trees. At another point, man emerged from that, and woman, and climbed the trees and progressed and became Neanderthal and Homo erectus and Homo sapiens, and learned fire and language and everything else. But, man and apes are 2 separate, and people that are looking for the missing link got it wrong. And people that are looking for the missing link probably believe in the Tooth Fairy and, Winnie the Pooh. So
now listen, I will not sit here and have you besmirch Winnie the Pooh.
besmirch.
Right now.
You
taught me a lot of important lessons when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've never heard that word besmirch. So write that down.
I got no fight in this Winnie the Pooh game. I don't care.
We're coming up with a plethora of topics tonight, ladies, so this is great. But anyway, I'm working on a book called The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, and I hope to complete it this week. It didn't take me 97 days. It took me a lot longer than that. But I'm so close to getting it done. I'm so excited, and I think it's going to be new and improved, and it's going to be another way of looking at this. And again, I'm not Jeff Meldrum, and I'm not Lauren Coleman, and not Nick Redfern, but I'm Maxim Furek, and I bring something else to the table, and I think it's going to be different. So I'm excited about this book, and also with my association with Hanger One and the Monster Quest people. So, we'll see what happens. But the book should be out hopefully in the next. They work fast. Should be out in the next couple of months. So we'll see. Maybe we could get together again and talk about Bigfoot.
I think Jeni
Right.
might be into that.
I might be a little bit into that, but we are going to have to leave Pooh alone.
Okay, we'll leave it alone. Okay.
Let him be out there in the 100-acre word, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that I have something to poke you with. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
We gotta go see that sequel that I didn't see.
Yeah, we do have to go see that sequel. That's going to be pretty good.
So for your listeners, if they're interested in any of the Coal Region paranormal stuff, my book is called Coal Region Hoodoo: Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit, and also the Flying Saucer one is Flying Saucer Esoteric: The Altered States of UFOlogy. So they're out there, and you can get them on Amazon, or you can get them from my website, which is maximfurek.com. So.
Now, the UFO and Bigfoot connection, is that just the interdimensional aspect to it, or have they been witnessed together?
Yeah, they've been witnessed together, but, a lot of researchers think that denotes that there's a paranormal element to it. Whether Bigfoot are pilots, or they're prisoners, or they're, nobody knows. I mean, there's at least 50 different theories about that.
Let's dig into both of those. Pilots or prisoners?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you say pilot, and now I'm just imagining Chewie.
Yeah, well, I know, yeah. So do I.
This is the only thing that my brain can come up with on that one. Yeah, they talk about that link a little bit in the Second Flash of Beauty and the Paranormal Bigfoot, and they talk about that, which amazing documentary. Go watch that.
Well, I think it's great that us, zealots, us followers, us believers, or at least entertaining some of those theories and learning about them, because I think that's what we need to do, and try to find out what may work. What's the most logical, or not logical, because it's not logical, but what's the possible explanation?
Mm-hmm.
I think logical's fine.
Yeah, logical works, and I like the people in the paranormal community and trying to talk about these things, because as we've seen a lot, in fact, somebody that we had asked at some point to be on the show who didn't want to disclose, a very personal story. Mm-hmm. There is still a lot of that stigma out there, and there is still a lot of that judgment when you start talking about the paranormal. One of the reasons that I like you is because you went from this very rock and roll, biography kind of world, and then hey, guess what, guys? Paranormal too. It's something that you go a little bit mainstream and then a little bit out of the mainstream and kind of.
Yeah, and I didn't choose this. I mean, I think it really chose me. I mean, I think the paranormal stalked me and found me and channeled through me, because I'm a rock and roll writer. I love that stuff. I live for that. But the paranormal community has welcomed me and embraced me. I just can't tell you, how good it's been. What a wonderful ride, and so I'm having fun with it, and I want to go and present my books in an academic, scholarly way, to contribute something to the field. So, so I take
that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's important that these books are well researched and proofread and all that.
Absolutely.
You want, so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will have all of your information on the show notes. We'll have to talk again when the Bigfoot book comes out.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We got, just a couple of minutes left. Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, for people that are familiar with Ed and Lorraine Warren, the demonologist, the Conjuring franchise, there's a chapter on the Warrens. I had met them back in the 80s when they were on a 15-city tour promoting a book. So I became friends with them, but they had some really interesting things to say about demonic possession and doing battle with demons and all that. And that was just another really fascinating realm. So I love Ed and Lorraine Warren, and there's a couple of photos of them that I took that are just classic. So that was one of, knowing Dr. Santee and knowing Ed and Lorraine Warren, I think were two high points of my career, whatever, as a paranormal author. So
I'm sure.
I'm excited about those credentials.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you again. Everybody else, we'll see you next time. Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.
Good night.
Good night.